Welcome back. Or if you are new here, welcome to our safe space. I want to start today by being completely honest with you. I hit the snooze button 3 times this morning. The blanket was heavy, the room was cold, and honestly, I really did not want to do anything productive today. I just wanted to close my eyes and let the world wait. I wonder if you felt that way too this morning. Waking up, looking at the ceiling, and feeling a heavy weight in your chest before the day even begins. And then you remember all the things you told yourself you would do today, especially your English studies. You promised yourself you would memorize those new words, you promised you would read that article or practice speaking, but when you look at your English textbook sitting on your desk, it does not look like an opportunity. It looks like a mountain, a heavy, intimidating mountain. And so you look away. You pick up your phone instead. You scroll through social media to escape the guilt, and then the guilt gets worse because you feel like you were failing. You tell yourself that you were just lazy, that you do not have enough discipline. I know that feeling so well, but I want you to listen to me right now. You are not lazy. That heavy feeling pulling you back to sleep, that feeling that makes you avoid your English books, it is not laziness. It is exhaustion. It's the fear of having to do it perfectly. We are constantly told that to succeed, we must hustle, we must grind, we must study for 2 hours every single day until our brains hurt. But that is exhausting. When you put that much pressure on yourself, your brain naturally wants to protect you. It wants to hide under the warm blanket. So today, we are going to do something different. We are going to put the heavy textbooks away. We are going to stop fighting against ourselves. If you were feeling tired today, or if you feel like you were falling behind, this episode is just for you. Take a deep breath, let your shoulders drop. Let us talk about how to build a gentle, cozy 10-minute English morning routine. A routine that feels like a warm cup of coffee, not a punishment. I want to take you back to a few years ago. I had this sudden burst of inspiration to learn a completely new skill. I was so motivated. I went online, I bought the thickest, most comprehensive textbook I could find, I bought new highlighters, perfectly clean notebooks, and I made a strict schedule. I told myself, I am going to wake up at 5 in the morning every single day, and I am going to study for 2 solid hours before I do anything else. I was convinced that this was the only way to succeed. Hard work, early mornings, no excuses. Day 1 was actually okay. I rode that wave of fresh motivation. Day 2, I was a little tired, but I pushed through it. But by day 5, my alarm went off in the dark, and I just stared at it. The thought of opening that heavy book, the thought of forcing my brain to work that hard when all my body wanted was rest, it made me feel miserable. I started to resent the very thing I wanted to learn. I started associating my study time with pain, stress, and sleep deprivation. Because I had set the bar so incredibly high for myself, missing just one day felt like a complete and utter failure. So on day 6, when I finally gave in and slept through my alarm, I did not just take a day off. I gave up entirely. I felt so much shame that I hid the textbook in a drawer where I could not see it. I did not touch it again for months. This is exactly what we do to ourselves with English, isn't it? We build these giant, unrealistic expectations in our heads. We think that if we are not studying intensely, translating complex articles, or doing perfect grammar exercises, then we are not really learning. We fall into this toxic all-or-nothing mindset. We tell ourselves, if I cannot study for an hour today, there's no point in studying for 5 minutes. So we do 0. We choose 0. And that 0 creates a quiet shame that sits in the back of your mind. You carry it with you all day. You feel guilty when you watch a movie. You feel guilty when you are resting, because you know you should be studying. That is not a healthy way to learn. Learning a language should never be a source of trauma or daily guilt. It took me a long time and a lot of frustration to realize that my failure was not a lack of willpower. I was not a lazy person. I just had a completely flawed strategy. I was relying entirely on motivation. But here's the truth about motivation. It is just an emotion. It is a feeling. And just like happiness, sadness, or anger, motivation comes and goes like the weather. You cannot build a solid house on changing weather. You need a reliable foundation. That is when I discovered the profound difference between motivation and systems. Motivation asks, how do I feel today? A system asks, what is the smallest, easiest step I can take today, regardless of how I feel? I realized that doing something tiny, but doing it consistently every single day, is far more powerful than doing something massive once a month. We do not need a 2-hour grueling study plan that makes us want to cry. We need a system, a gentle, safe system. And that is exactly what we are going to build right now. We're going to replace your heavy expectations with a cozy, 10-minute safe space. Let us deeply understand why a system works so much better than motivation. A system is simply a habit that is designed to be so small and so easy that your brain does not have the time or the energy to feel afraid of it. Think about the morning. When you first wake up, your willpower is at its lowest. Your mind is still half asleep. If your goal is to read 20 pages of an advanced English book, your brain will immediately sense danger. It will view that task as a threat to your comfort, and it will trigger that heavy feeling of procrastination. But what if your goal is just to boil water? What if your only expectation is to press a button on your coffee machine? We have to lower the barrier to entry. We have to detach our self-worth from how many hours we study. Perfectionism tells you that if you do not study for an hour, you are failing. But a good system tells you that simply showing up is the victory. We are going to stop demanding perfection and start building consistency. We are going to make the start line so easy to cross that it feels almost effortless. I want you to imagine watering a delicate houseplant. If you take a giant, heavy bucket of water and dump it all over that tiny plant once a month, what happens? The soil washes away, the plant drowns. The roots cannot absorb that much water all at once. The plant becomes completely overwhelmed. But if you give that same plant just a few gentle drops of water every single morning, what happens then? The roots drink it in quietly. The plant grows strong and healthy and steady. Your mind is exactly like that plant. Pouring hours of intense, stressful study onto your brain when you are already exhausted is like dumping that heavy bucket. It does not help you grow, it just creates a flood of anxiety. Instead, we want to create a gentle, daily drizzle. We want to turn your morning English time into a sanctuary, a quiet, warm space where you are allowed to make mistakes, a space that belongs only to you, away from the loud demands of the world. It is not a classroom, it is a moment of peace. So, how do we actually do this tomorrow morning? Let us build your new, safe system together. Here is your 10-minute cozy morning routine. Minutes 1 to 5 are all about low-pressure input. When you wake up and walk into your kitchen, do not look at your textbook. Instead, turn on a soft, easy English podcast, maybe even this one. Do not sit down with a pen. Do not try to memorize anything. Just listen while you grind your coffee beans or while you wait for your tea to steep. Let the gentle rhythm of the English language naturally fill the quiet room.
You were just sharing a moment with the language. Then, for minutes 6 to 10, we transition to a very small, low-barrier output. Sit down by the window with your warm drink. Open a small notebook. I do not want you to write a complex essay. I want you to be intentional and write exactly one sentence about how you feel right now. It can be as simple as, "I'm feeling a bit sleepy today, but my coffee is warm." That's it. You close the notebook. You are done. You have successfully protected your peace, and you have practiced your English.
Let us take a slow, deep breath together. We are going to transition into our vocabulary tour for today. I want to look closely at 4 beautiful but complex words we used in our story. There is no rush to memorize them. Just listen to how they sound and feel what they mean. Our first word is overwhelmed. Overwhelmed. We talked about the tiny plant getting overwhelmed by too much water. When you feel overwhelmed, it means you have too much to deal with. It feels like a giant wave crashing over you. You might say, "I feel overwhelmed by how much vocabulary I need to learn." It is a feeling of having too much weight on your shoulders. The next word is sanctuary. Sanctuary. We said we want to turn your morning routine into a sanctuary. A sanctuary is a safe place. It is a quiet, peaceful space where nothing can hurt you and nobody is judging you. You could say, "My bedroom is my sanctuary when the world gets too loud." Our third word is a big one, procrastination. Procrastination. We often confuse this with laziness, but they're very different. Procrastination is the act of delaying or avoiding a task, usually because that task makes you feel anxious or stressed. You might say, "My procrastination is worse when I'm afraid of making a mistake." It is just your brain trying to protect you. And our final word today is intentional. Intentional. When you write your one sentence in the morning, I asked you to be intentional. This means doing something on purpose, with focus and care. It means you are not just doing things automatically. You could say, "I am making an intentional choice to speak kindly to myself today."
As we get closer to the end of our time together today, and perhaps your coffee cup is nearly empty, let us take a moment to gather our thoughts. I want to gently remind you of the most important lesson we shared. That heavy feeling you get when you look at your textbook is not a character flaw. It is not laziness. You have simply been trying to carry a heavy mountain when you only needed to pick up a small stone. We learned today that relying on motivation is like trying to build a house on changing weather. Instead, we need a system, a small, intentional habit that protects you from the toxic all-or-nothing mindset. We remembered the little houseplant and how pouring a heavy bucket of water over it only causes harm. Your mind needs that gentle, daily drizzle to truly absorb the language and grow strong. It does not need the heavy flood of a 2-hour study session that leaves you exhausted. Most importantly, we designed your new 10-minute sanctuary, 5 minutes of quiet listening while you prepare your morning drink, and 5 minutes to write just one true sentence about how you feel. That is all it takes to cross the start line. It is not about how many hours you study. It is about how safe you feel while you are learning.
As we close our journal for today, I want you to leave this space feeling lighter. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, do not look at the heavy mountain. Just look at the very first step. Give yourself permission to be slow. Give yourself permission to be imperfect and to just enjoy the warmth of your coffee. Before you go, I want to leave you with a reflective question to think about for the rest of your day. What is one small, gentle thing you can do for your English tomorrow morning? Think about that. If sitting here together today helped your heart feel a little bit lighter, please consider subscribing or sharing this with someone who might need a quiet moment too. Let this channel be your safe space, and let us continue this journey together as friends. Remember, every small step counts. I am proud of your progress. Take care of yourself today, and I will see you in the next entry.